back to the old standby, for when you're too lazy to even mix your own Arnold Palmer. I know there's a word for the alcoholic version of the Arnold Palmer, but not a golf fan. There's a bug. Hi, welcome to episode 6 of Get Lit and Knit, where we drink, knit, and avoid adulthood the way we always have. I'm Allie, and I say we for those of you who are new, because I share this account and podcast with my best friend from college, Abby, who's here sometimes. You can find us on Ravelry as Get Lit and Knit Podcast, and then we are on Elo and Instagram as Get Lit and Knit. I know you hear it from everybody, so it probably doesn't sound genuine, but if you're checking us out for the first time, we're really happy to have you. And if you've been watching us for a little bit, we're happy to see you too. We've got, I say this every week, but really we do have a lot of ground to cover today, so let's get into it. Organization be damned. You know how this game goes. We're going to start with works in progress in my seltzer goods bag where my Hexie Puffs have been living. This is the modular geometric forever blanket known as the Beekeeper's Quilt by Tiny Owl Knits. I haven't been knitting as many of these because I was on a deadline for a test knit. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but wanted to just show you the ones I did this week. I couldn't tell you what a lot of these are. Most of them were gifted, swaps and all that good stuff. So I don't know, man. It's taking forever. The count is at, as of today, I counted this morning, is 105. And I'm knitting another one. The thing I'm still enjoying about this, and they're dwindling, and we're only 100 puffs deep, is I enjoy getting to play with yarns that are hard to get your hands on. If I remember right, Robin from Stitching Between Pages gave me this. I am 99% sure this is Hedgehog Fibers Skinny Singles, and I love it. I am a sucker for a tonal and or variegated gray, and this just fits the bill perfectly. And I want to make all the things out of it. But that's a long-term project. I'm happy if I get through like 4 of them in a week, and that hasn't been happening lately, but now that I have got some bigger stuff done, it should be a little bit easier. In case you can't see the poster or tell by the bag, this is a Chicago-based podcast. I spend a ton of time on the CTA, and that's where the majority of the knitting gets done. And this project is especially great for that because I'm not pulling out huge lengths of yarn, I'm not handling huge skeins. It's just easy to carry everywhere. I even was, what was I sending? I think I was sending the swap package for Kelly. She's Dog Hair Knits and the she's half of the Notorious podcast. I was in line at the post office to send her package, and your next one for the two of you is going out, by the way. Standing in line knitting this. So, yeah. Still a big fan. Still really want this blanket. There's somebody else in our Ravelry group who's knitting it too, and she and I are both kind of hell-bent on just having this thing. Maybe I'll get it done before I die. Those of you who have been here for a little bit will remember this cross-stitch, but those of you who are new have to see cross-stitch Kanye. I have literally not touched this. I haven't worked on it at all. At all, okay. But anyway, I've heard at least one person, I think Jill maybe, she was like, I'm going to be sad when Allie finishes this because it makes me laugh every time. So, new and returning, love yourself and laugh at Kanye's expense. Our next work in progress gets into our knit-along, our first knit-along ever, so excited. We are knitting the Cameo Shawl by Paulina Populek, or Paulina P on Ravelry. And this is a collaboration with Devin over at Francophile Knits. We both were obsessed with this Hue Loco yarn that we both bought, and we're trying to find the perfect pattern for it. And as of April 1st, we've started a knit-along. Knitting this out of Hue Loco sock yarn in Stardust, which was the skein that inspired this whole thing, paired with Coltrane, which is like my favorite gray just of life. And I am done with the first section. So it starts, so I think this is technically a crescent shawl, but what do I know? and it grows out, and I don't even know if the camera's gonna pick this up because I can barely see it in person, but I've started striping in gray with the variegated color. I really like it. This pattern is like a true TV no-brainer knit. Like, as long as you get the ends of the rows right, the rest is just garter stitch and you're golden. The only thing I will say though is this, you know, it's garter stitch, so this eats yarn like crazy, and I was kind of hoping for a little bit of this for a hexie puff, so here's hoping. It may be like yarn chicken, but not even for the intended project. So I've been keeping track of multiples of stitches with just whatever menagerie of stitch markers I have hanging out. These were actually the first ones I made out of just little pink skulls from Michael's, because 13-year-old Allie was wannabe emo trash, and part of me still is. So still love little things like this. This one, I think, is from my last Fiberista Club sock club box, which I really like. I should get back into using materials like this, because this is super lightweight. So if you watched our YarnCon vlog, this is from Jenny, and we talked and hung out, and I just I couldn't walk away without this. And apparently this fabric glows in the dark. I haven't tested that yet. I didn't know there were cozies that would hold your fixed circulars like this, but they do, which is great, because I lose stitches constantly. And it's got a tie fighter on it. Once we get to the knit along and giveaway section, I will go through all the rules for this, not that there are a lot of them. So hang out till the end for that, and I hope you cast this on with us, because we really just picked it because we genuinely liked it, and I have a prize to show off. This work in progress is laughable, and here's why. I have already started Christmas knitting because my promise to myself is that I'm going to spread it out this year. I'm not going to do it all at once. Last year I started in September, and you'd think that would be good enough, but it wasn't. So I'm starting now. I'm going to talk about one of those knits now. Mom, I need you to skip like a minute ahead. Maybe two. You're not going to miss much of anything. Just skip. Skip. Okay, now that she's gone, we can talk about this. My mom wanted a pair of ankle socks. She gets a pair of socks every year, and this year I just asked her about the specifics. So this, I guess we're going to count as an acquisition. This is from Brew City Yarns. It is their premium draft sock yarn in 80/20 superwash merino nylon in ruby slippers. And my mom's a huge Wizard of Oz fan, so it's perfect. And so I am knitting the Rose City Rollers, and I guess we would call this a hoe. This is a free pattern. You've probably seen it a million times. It is just short enough that I was not worried about second sock syndrome. I usually, if I have my way, knit socks 2 at a time now. Like, I'm basically a full convert, but this came together, God, in like 2 or 3 days, and just ready to cast on the other one. And I'm keeping this red for another project, for another Brew City acquisition. We'll talk about that. This next one counts as an FO, but I'm gonna need to drink before we talk about this. This freaking cardigan. Blocked it out like a good noodle, did all the right things. The front's too short. I did the number of stitches I was supposed to do, stretched it all out, pinned it, all that good stuff, tried it on. I think you can even tell, like, it's too short. And my theory, in hindsight, is that when I blocked it, I didn't stretch this out enough. And so I am going to try to do it again, because I really want to wear this sweater, but I needed to walk away for a minute because it was making me mad. All the other dimensions are right on this thing. That's what drives me totally crazy. So this, unless by some miracle I managed to fix it, is the last you're going to hear about the Georgetown cardigan by Hannah Fettig. It was a super enjoyable knit. It's just this thing. Just those last few inches of rib. I did a really loose bind off, but I did a normal bind off because I've heard of people doing looser bind offs and then it's just very like accordion and too stretchy, and maybe that's what I should have done, but I am not about to rip back. So I'm putting it out to you all. What do? I want to wear this sweater. It's already been washed and blocked. I'm willing to block it again. I really don't want to have to rip back and do this again if I don't have to. But enough of that. Let's get to a finished object that I'm actually excited about. This is my test knit for Devin of Francophy Knits for her Amboise shawl. This was knit in Neighborhood Fiber Co. 100% superwash merino in Thomas Circle and Canton. This was knit on size 5s. I'm super in love with this thing. Were I to go back and do it again, would probably knit it a little slower, but I had a deadline and I really just kind of wanted to wear it, especially for YarnCon. So, I really love this. It's huge, it is warm, it blocks out like really well, especially like I love the edging and that contrast color is just everything. So I'm very happy with how this turned out. I really enjoyed the pattern too, and trust me, I wouldn't say I did if I didn't, because it's really well organized lace, and there's a separation between each lace pattern, so it's really easy to keep track of. I did the line by line instructions instead of using the chart, and it was totally fine. You get to a point where you memorize these pretty quickly. So it's also my first shawl. I lied, this is my first completed shawl. The doodler is still languishing, but I learned a lot about construction and about lace and blocking especially, and I love this thing. If you want to see this thing in action worn in the wild, it's in our YarnCon vlog. It was the last video we put up, and it's only like 7 minutes, so you should check that out. So if you didn't get a chance to catch our vlog, Abby and I went to YarnCon this past weekend. We took 2 dyeing classes, did a lot of shopping. I have one acquisition that didn't come from there, but the rest did, so let me get that out of the way. So I put in an order with Brew City Yarns before YarnCon, but they were there. So in that order, I got the Ruby Slippers yarn I showed you, and the Welcome to Night Vale mini skates. I'm a little bit obsessed with Welcome to Night Vale, have been varying degrees of obsessed for a while. And I just had to have these because of the names. And if you don't listen to it, like, and it's not for, like, I think you've got to have a special kind of sense of humor to get into it. It's weird. If you're not into it, these names will mean nothing to you, but for anybody who's listened to even a few episodes of Night Vale, you'll enjoy this. So this is Definitely Not Angels, All Hail the Glow Cloud, A Scientist is Always Fine, Cecil versus the World, Hiram. For anybody who doesn't listen, Hiram is a 5-headed dragon whose heads are named after all their different colors. And 4 of them are evil, and the violet head is not. So this is Desert Bluffs, They're the Worst, and Station Management. I love these. It took a lot to not knit with these and to keep them pristine. They're still online, and now there are full-size skeins. Hauls are not just for fashion vloggers and beauty gurus anymore. We got yarn. So I picked up a YarnCon tote at the door, and I'm super glad I did because no bag would have held all of that stuff without squishing it. We made little felted hearts at the station for Esther's Place, which is a farm pretty local to where I grew up. And that's in our vlog too, so you should check that out. You get to watch me stab things. Anyway. So I ordered those mini skeins online, saw All Hail the Glow Cloud, and needed it immediately. So I got to meet Tara at the Brew City booth, and she was awesome, and I got there early because I was afraid that All Hail the Glow Cloud was going to disappear. I hope this is showing up as neon as it is in real life, because it's awesome. So this is on their Lucky Charms sock yarn base, so that's 75-20 and then 5 superwash merino nylon stellina. This is going to be socks because I can't imagine what else this would be. And because of like the red in here, I think I'm going to use what's left of Ruby Slippers for cuffs, heels, and toes. I love this. There's nothing that's made me want to get projects done and off the needles like this yarn, because it's awesome. So between the Night Veil yarn, the Star Wars DPN cozy, and this, we are just buying all the nerd things at YarnCon, and I could not be happier. This, you can probably tell right away, if you're an Adventure Time fan, is Lumpy Space Princess, and it's sparkly. So this is Happy Go Lucky Yarns, which I'd never heard of, but they're local, and this is on their HGL glittery base, same thing, wool, nylon, stellina, all that good stuff. And I needed the sparkly one. Like, we went to the booth, saw this, there were a lot of Star Trek yarns I got distracted by, but couldn't get this one out of my head. Gabby of Once Upon a Corgi and I had kind of casually been talking about knitting the Lumpy Space shawl, and I might, but I don't know, it's too good. Yeah. This is one of those that I'm going to have to like sit and admire for a little bit before I can do anything with it. I love it. I gotta stop fighting things. I gotta stop fighting knitting shawls. I gotta stop fighting spinning, because every time, or I gotta stop fighting sewing too. Every time I tell myself I'm not gonna do something, it's exactly what I end up doing. And I may or may not have picked up my first braid. It's a little fiber baby. I love this thing. This is like all my colors minus red in one place. So this is from Yarn Geek Fibers. It's a 100% Polworth braid. It's 4 ounces in Kiowut, because I guess they're from Keokuk, Iowa. It's like the southeasternmost tip of Iowa that like touches Illinois and Missouri. And I love this. I understand why people fondle their fiber now, and I get it. I get it. And I have a friend who's going to teach me how to do this, and we may or may not be filming it for you, so keep an eye out for that. I'm very excited. Gotta find a new word for excited. Our shopping day was kind of broken up by 2 different dyeing classes. The first one, we dyed with Kool-Aid. We've got footage of that too. This is 100% super, no, it's not superwash actually. I think it's just merino. So this is 100% merino, and I think it's from Wool to Die For. Pretty sure they were the sponsor. We dyed this up. Abby's turned out a lot nicer than mine. Mine, I think, just looks like pig. So anybody got any stuffed pig patterns that they think are cute, send them my way. If they work for worsted weight, I will make them, because I'm not going to wear this. Still vaguely smells like fruit punch. It was, so the class was really cool, especially for what we paid, frankly. Like, the class was $20, and it was all materials included except the Kool-Aid packets. And I think if nothing else, these classes kind of demystified dyeing for us. Like, I feel like now I could go back and look at a Jinx tutorial or a Hue Loco tutorial and just have a better handle on what I'm doing. And this was done in, like, I think just an immersion bath. I think that's the term. It was a lot of water, and so we didn't have a lot of control over where things went or how they stuck. I'm not over the moon about it. This started with, like, red and orange and pink and a whole bunch of stuff, and now it's just pink with a couple of, like, sad orange spots that you can't even see. However, I was very happy with how our acid dye yarn turned out. It's not, again, exactly what I was going for, but these bright bits are awesome. They're kind of buried in there. We just did blue, green, purple. I love this. I'm already trying to figure out what to knit with it. I have to name it. Haven't figured that out. I don't have to name it. I want to name it. So if anybody has pattern suggestions for this one, this is also 100 grams and about 220 yards. It's all merino. It's pretty soft though. Like, I like this base. I don't love it. I casually like this base. This was this game that helped me get why it's so fun to dye your own stuff, because it's pretty labor intensive. There's a lot of waiting, but I was dying for this thing to dry so I could see it in, you know, its full, dry, bright glory and figure out what to make with it. I just, So squish. So squish. So tell me what to make with this, because I love it. Are we ready for the really fun part of this? Let's talk about our knit along. So this is officially called the Cameo Loco Knit Along. Hashtag Cameo Loco Cal, hashtag Hugh Loco Hype Squad. And for anybody who's not familiar, a hype squad is just like your cheering section, because we are huge fans of Nicole and what she does, and we really designed the knit along around her yarn. So here's how the rules break down. You knit the Cameo Shawl by Paulina Populek. You get one finished object entry if you knit the shawl. Doesn't matter what you knit it out of. You get a second entry if you knit, it's a 2-color shawl, knit half of it at least out of Hugh Loco. I opened the chatter thread. I'm going to open the FO thread in the next week or so, because nobody's going to be done. If for some reason you have a like half-finished Cameo shawl just languishing, put it in. Why not? And I want to make it super clear that double dipping with anybody, but especially with the Francophile Knits Ravelry group, is super encouraged, and vice versa. Like, people from her group should double dip here too, because that just ups your odds, and we have really cool prizes. That said, if you are some kind of maker and you want to get in on the fun, feel free to get in touch with me. You can find me on all the things fairly easily. This started April 1st, and it's going to run till the end of April. Tentatively, if people need more time for this, we will allow it. And one of the perks of doing this in a fairly small Ravelry group is that your odds are really good. Like, for the couple giveaways I drew for earlier today, there were 35 and 58 entries. Like, your odds are pretty good. So definitely join in and do it with us and use those hashtags, and I can't wait to see what you make. I want to show you one of the prizes for that. Nicole has very generously donated 2 skeins of hers in her opal sock base, so it's 50/50 silk superwash merino. And this is well water, and this is, yes, pearl necklace. And this is more than enough yardage to get the job done. And I would check on her website, because I'm not sure that the well water color is going to pick up, but it's like a blue-green with little bits of rust in it, and it's beautiful. This would make a super nice shawl. And so one of our FO entries is going to win this bad boy. Cast on. Do the thing. Ting. All right, now to announce winners for giveaways we've already done. We had a 300 subscriber giveaway on Instagram, which we've already drawn for, already contacted the winners, so thank you guys for participating. It was really fun. We also have our 500 subscriber giveaway in our Ravelry group. I've already locked it and drawn. 2 people are going to win the Beer Progress Keeper set made by Tanya, very generous viewer who just sent them our way, and I use them regularly. I know Devin does too. They're great. And then one lucky person wins a set of Wonderland Yarns Cheshire Cat. It's a mini skein pack. This is Jewels number 2, 100% superwash merino, 640 yards, and some nice jewel tones. I've already drawn for these. Random number generator, also randomly selected who would get what. So the 2 winners of the Beer Progress Keeper sets were Sergeant Griff's Girl and Lala Lemon. So if that's you, get in touch with me, send me your address, and ideally privately, the internet's a creepy place, and I will send those out to you. And the winner of the mini skein set is iFidelity. So thank you guys for participating in doing this, and we were excited to do it for you. We have one more giveaway, and it was a part of the knitting games. Remember those god-awful swants we made? For our participation and for you suffering through having to look at those, we get to give away a bag by Awesome Granny, so I chose the Anchor bag. I drew randomly for that one too, and the winner is Bird Lover 4962, so everybody get in touch with me, send me your addresses, and apparently legal last names, because that's the thing I need, and I'll get them out to you ASAP. So if you've been here for a little bit, you may remember that time that I suggested a section where I would recommend music for you, that's going to be a thing. So we're going to do New Music Wednesday, because everything tends to come out on Tuesday, and I've been listening to new stuff all day, and hopefully we'll give you a better idea of what you might enjoy. I am a religious Apple Music user. I was way into Spotify before, switched to Apple Music, just never canceled the thing, and it's so well synced with my computer and my phone that I'm not going back. So Kanye West answered my prayers and actually put his album on Apple Music, although it's hard to say whether he was planning to do that all along or if he saw that everybody was just like stealing the album instead of subscribing to Tidal. Either way, it's on there. I'm a happy camper, and there's nothing I can say about this album that hasn't already been said. It's pretty disjointed. There are great moments, but it's like he was trying to tell a cohesive story and just didn't do it. I don't know if there was some deadline or something they were trying to hit, because it's a little bit of a mess. But there are little slivers of the Kanye I used to, know and love, so it's worth giving it a shot. If you're going to listen to one song, I would make it No More Parties in LA. For some reason, it's not charting as well as the others, but it's my favorite. I'm here for anything with a little bit of like a gospel funk influence. So this brings me to my second recommendation, which is Velvet Portraits by Terrace Martin. Terrace Martin is a producer, musician. He's a jazz saxophonist, but he doesn't fit any mold too well. If you're into jazz, hip hop, soul, funk, or any of the above or all of them, give this guy a shot for sure. If you want a soft introduction, I wouldn't start with this album. It's pretty conceptual. I would go back to his album from 2013, which is 3-chord fold, and try Triangle Ship. And that is 2 songs I've recommended to you featuring Kendrick Lamar, so we are going to switch gears. My more crowd-pleasy recommendation for the week would be Lucas Graham. He's like, how do I describe this? So, it's a Danish band, and Apple Music is calling it Blue-Eyed Soul, which is pretty accurate. The very first song has the exact same hook as, the very first song has the exact same hook as Street Corner Symphony by Matchbox 20. Or was it Rob Thomas? Either way, like, you can literally sing the chorus over this song, but if that's your jam, you might enjoy it. I casually like it. And then my weirdest recommendation, and this is real weird, because this came up in undergrad when I was studying 21st century Japanese consumer culture, and I know that's a very broad stroke to paint in, but we wrote this paper where the point was, Japan is climbing out of this 15-year recession. Nobody can afford real estate or to have spawn. What are they doing with their money instead? And part of it is buying youth, which is our theory was part of why J-pop and K-pop is a big deal. No different than here, kind of an obsession with youth. And out of that came a metal band that I really like. This group's called Baby Metal. It's like if metal and My Chemical Romance came together in like a Japanese female voice, and somehow that all works together really well. And they have a new album. There's a song on here called Karate, all caps, that I really like. I haven't listened through this whole thing, but if nothing else, this album is it's going to be an excellent jock jam. Like, it would be a great gym album. If I can figure out a way to do this that doesn't clutter up the channel, I'm going to make a playlist of all of my recommendations, either one big one or week by week. And that way, y'all can find it and give it a shot. And my taste is weird enough that given enough time, we should be able to find something for everybody. Normally, this is where I would finish it out with some life stuff. I would tell you I was working. I would tell you Abby was studying. I would tell you about like the cool, fun things we did and all the fun we had at YarnCon, because we did. I haven't done a full recap on that because there's another video. Go check it out. But here we're going to talk about the big C word, changes on this channel. I know, bring out the torches and pitchforks. I can handle it. The first thing I want to make super clear is that the podcast does not change. This keeps happening. This keeps happening on the bi-weekly schedule that we've got going, with occasional bonus episodes as we can make work. The only thing that would change that is law school, and that's months away. The thing we are going to change is we're going to add content. So we are going to do more vlogs. We are going to do more produced videos. And we are going to allow ads on those videos. We, at this juncture, I don't want to say never, but for the foreseeable future, we're not allowing ads on the podcast. This space stays the same. You're not going to be bombarded by ads that, like, because we don't get to pick those ads. Google picks them. There will be one space where you can enjoy the content uninterrupted. For things that require more time, more work, more overhead cost, we're going to monetize those. I know that's a controversial thing, and it might be upsetting, but the fact is that, like, none of this is free, and, you know, my time is not free either. This is a thing I do because I really enjoy it, and I want to be able to do more of it. And that's why we're going to monetize. As maybe unsettling as it is, or just, you know, unsettling change is in general, just know that, like, whatever you think people make on ad revenue, it's even less than that. Like, it's next to nothing. We're just hoping to cover the overhead and make this whole thing a little easier. This is all to say we are going to have some really exciting new content in the next few weeks. It's coming up pretty quick, and I'm really looking forward to it. We have some cool ideas. Whatever happens with that exciting new content, I'm still happy and excited to come back to this every other week. And for me, the top priority is always the community building. It's just, we have to make some tough decisions to be able to continue to do that and to continue to grow it too. In the interest of including you in this decision and making it so this wasn't like a thing thrust upon you, yeah, we had to make an executive decision, but this is a space for you too. So for those extra videos, we would love to hear what you want to see. Maybe, you know, something. I'm always looking for kind of holes in the market, stuff that hasn't been done yet. I don't think we'll be doing educational stuff. It's just not my strong suit. There's a ton of it already, and there are people who could do it way better than I could. So anything else you'd like to see, we are open to hearing that. So if we're going to have that discussion, let's do it in the episode thread once I put the show notes up. And we really do want to hear from you, because this is your space too. And that's about it. Thanks for joining us again. Be sure to check out our vlog, like, subscribe, tell your friends. We'll be back in a couple weeks to update you on the knit along. And in the meantime, you can find us on Instagram and Ello occasionally, and on our Ravelry group. So thanks, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye. Starting off strong. Aw, the cat found plastic.